Bart Herbison here for the Tennessean and Tennessean.com with Boys Round Here. I love this song. I love you guys. I've been wanting to do this episode for quite a while. How the heck did this thing happen? Somebody take us back to that.
Rhett, you go. No, Craig's raising his hand.
No, because you guys were busy. So the three of us were writing. Rhett and Dallas sitting over there. And in my office, I've just got a Pro Tools thing. So I just turned it. I treat it like a phone recorder. I just have it in red. And they were over there talking. And I never forget, Rhett was just like, man, what'd you do this weekend, Dallas? Dallas was like, man, I just down in Georgia, hanging out in rednecks. And they were just talking, and I'm not from Georgia. I'm sitting there, and I look up, and I see on those ghost shows, it shows the ghost talking like, get out. You can see the words on my graph. I look up on my graph, and I see redneck. And once again, they're talking. So I've been messing around with my little cut and paste stuff, doing my hillbilly Skrillex thing. So I cut and pasted a couple of times. It was like redneck. So they kept talking, so I kept doing that. And finally, everybody was like, anybody got any ideas? Nobody had any ideas. I was like, well, Dallas, there's your idea. And he's like, what? I was like, this. And I hit it and was like, redneck. redneck. And we were like, we should write a song and put that at the end of it. So we'll put that at the end of the song. And the next thing you know, that creeps around. And so whenever you hear the record to this day, when you hear that redneck and hear it on the guitar, that was all recorded in my office. Scott Hendricks, Blake's producer, asked for all those files. So that's Dallas singing redneck, and that's my little $100 5-string red guitar.
Were you chewing it all that day, Dallas, or no?
I think I was either in Dip World back then. I don't know. Rhett was chewing. This was before Sugar-Free Redman. So
yeah.
But I remember, Craig, to kind of take it from there. I remember looking to you had, I called it your raspberry crocodile chair. He had this pink chair, and it was fake alligator skin. So naturally, it was raspberry crocodile.
It was on sale for some reason.
I would not sell that. That's had a lot of hits written in it. So I'd look over to my right, and he's got a Beatles clock on the wall. And now, mind you, Craig is playing on his $100 again pink guitar, right, Craig?
It's kind of red. It's
and it's got the sound that to his point that Scott, who produced it, could not recreate the sound with the best musicians in the world. That the lick. He's playing that over and over. Me and Rhett are kind of just talking, shooting the bull. And I remember looking at this clock that Craig's got in his office. It's the Beatles. It says the Beatles, and it's a clock. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm from Albany, Georgia. I didn't really listen to the Beatles. No offense to the Beatles, one of the greatest bands of all time, but I didn't listen to the Beatles. So I remember I blurted out, well, the boys around here don't listen to the Beatles, run old Bo Secrets through a jukebox needle at the honky tonk where they boot stomp all night.
There's your song.
And then Craig goes, that's right. Like kind of in celebration of we just got the song started, and then the rest is history. Everybody jumped in. Rhett, what happened after that?
Well, we wrote it all the way up. We wrote the first and second verses and the chorus, and then that took us, most of the afternoon. Well, Dallas had to leave. You had to go. Dallas had to go somewhere before we had written the bridge, and so right before Dallas was about to leave, I guess it was maybe 4:00 in the afternoon or something. I was getting
45.
I was getting sleepy, and I went like that, sleeping. And Craig thought I was
no. Dallas was actually walking out the door. It's a small office. He was literally walking out the door. Rhett was across. Rhett was sitting across, and he goes, and Dallas turns around and goes, "That's the bridge right there."
Yeah, Rhett's so talented.
And he slammed the door and walked out. We were both looking at each other going, "What'd you say?" Like, I don't know. Like you went. It sounds like you kind of went and said, "Let's ride." Like, okay,
my yawn was in tune, I guess, with the track.
It wasn't. Not only was it in tune, but it was the melody. What he did is he goes, ooh. So he
Which turned into
he yawned. He's so talented. He actually yawned. Ooh, let's ride. And I heard it when like Craig said when I was walking. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Rhett just yawned the melody.
And he
He
did.
yawned melodies.
And so Dallas had to leave, and Craig and I finished the bridge. When I remember when I was about to leave, I told Craig, I said, this song's pretty cool, but that red redneck thing ain't gonna make it, and the little ad libs and all that stuff. I said we probably ought to take all that off, but work on it, Craig, and send it to us tonight. Well, Craig did not take my advice at all. He turned the red redneck up louder, and all the little ad libs that I thought wouldn't work, and so Craig sends us the demo that night, and I was like, sounds cool, but man, you think that redneck and all that stuff's going to work? He goes, do I think it's going to work? Blake's already texted me back and said he knows it's going to work.
So how did he get the song? You sent it to Blake?
Yeah. I mean, really, it was so much fun. We kind of knew Blake was going in, and I just sent it out to Hendrix and Scott Hendrix, his producer, and Blake. And most of the time, as these guys know, even if they love you, I mean, you send something and it just disappears. It just goes into the ether forever. But man, every now and again, you send a 3 minute and 35-second song, and 3 minutes and 40 seconds later, they text you back. And that's exactly what happened. So check this out. So how the second verse came along is Dallas was obsessed with the Dougie at the time. Right. He came in like, everybody's dancing the Dougie. Man, we got to put the Dougie in here. And I was like, what the hell is the Dougie? He's like, man, it's a dance. We looked it up, and he said, he goes, man, it's a dance all the kids are doing. I was like, and I said, well, whatever dance it is probably illegal in Kentucky. And that literally,
y'all, you're killing me.
No, this is all true. So that morning, I'm an early riser, and I had gotten to the office because Craig's. I'm at 11:07. Anyway, I'm on Music Row. Across where I'm sitting right now is Big Loud, and I got there early, and I was talking to one of my best friends from Albany, Georgia, named Stuart Page, and he was like, "Dude, have you ever watched the Dougie contest on YouTube?" And I said, "No, of course not. Who's done that?" So he goes, "Google, YouTube, Sprite." It was the Sprite sponsored Dougie contest. So I Google it, and it's. I mean, they're doing the Dougie, and it is amazing. It blew my mind. So I had just watched a true Dougie, Dougie Fresh, obviously, a Dougie contest. And then minutes later, I walked through 10 yards into Craig's office. So I've got Dougie on my mind. I didn't have Dixie on my mind.
He had Dougie on his mind, buddy. He had Dougie, and it was his first day of an intern that he had, and we needed a girl, so we just hollered like, "Hey, come in here!" And she was like, "We're gonna say, teach me how to Dougie. Just do that." She was like, freaking out. She was deer in the headlights.
She was so nervous.
Just holler that out. So she hollered it out, and then.
Well, look, I'm going to backtrack on a couple things. First is Scott Hendricks, because I think a couple of these parts, like the red, that he left in there, make the song.
Oh, no doubt.
And here's what I think. I think we pick up y'all's passion for it in there. It just feels, I've used this on this series before. I call it the car wreck song, because I'm jacking that thing up and I'm not paying attention to my drive, and I'm doing all this riding around. So credit Scott. Yeah.
I had tons of people like Neil Thrasher and other songwriters text me and go, "I hate your guts."
And that's when you know you got one.
Biggest compliment you can get from another.
And they were like, I had so many people, and people would send me videos of their kids in their baby seats in the back of their car, going, "My kid will not let me play anything but Boys Down Here."
Well, it's just contagious, and I wasn't sure about the. Go ahead.
And then the chew tobacco spit just sealed the deal. I mean,
I was going to say, and I would have said they'll never keep that in there, and they did, and it was smart. And did Blake have anything to do with that staying in, or
no? That was all.
Scott.
You know what he had to do with that is he didn't take it out. Thank
there you
God.
go. There you go.
I mean that with all due respect, because chew tobacco spit where Craig grew up in Mississippi and me and Rhett grew up in South Georgia, and maybe it's nationwide, worldwide, I don't know, but I know where we grew up in baseball, there was like a little chant, da 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 da, chew the back, chew the back, chew the back. Yeah, that was like a kind of like a cheer chant.
And you actually hear that on pro teams.
All right, well there you go.
Still,
so a little redneck poetry, throw that in there. Throw a little red genius whiz man over here, Cat Daddy, Craig Wiseman, and Rhett's redneck poetry, and mash all that together, and you have the boys around here. And
I credit you for recognizing that melody, because
the yawn.
These are three of the greatest songwriters of all time. Craig Wiseman, ASCAP Songwriter of the Century. We've got Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers here. So I do, Dallas, because a whole lot of songwriting is right here. It's what you hear and then what you do with it. I want to backtrack to this guitar part. Before we started this, right before you came on, Craig, Rhett and Dallas were telling me we're talking about the Rolling Stones. We're talking about Ron Wood in particular. Was there a string missing on that guitar? Was the tuning weird? How did that whole thing?
Keith Richards would have been the one.
I'm sorry, Keith Richards, yes.
Well, you know what it was is I'd actually bought that $100 red guitar at this little, we have a place out, a couple hours outside of town, and they have one of those antique / music store / cafe / one of those things. But they gave guitar lessons. And my wife wanted to go in there and look at the antiques. I'm looking around. They have a couple of these guitars around. They're like, buy this guitar and come take guitar lessons. And I picked up one of these little 3/4 scale guitar. And most time those things go out of tune. They're horrible. I picked it up, tuned it, started playing it, started bending strings, and it didn't go out of tune and everything. And finally I was like, okay, I'll take this. I like this because it was $100, and so I go up to get $100. The guy goes, "I'll be $109." I said, "Dude, look, I have a $100 bill in my visor of my truck. That's what I got." And he goes, "Well, you can't have the case." I was like, "Well, what's the case?" And he reaches down, and it was like a garment bag that was all folded up. It was a square of plastic, and I was like, "You know what? I could live without that case." He just had a deal, but I brought the thing to my office, and it was horrible. When I was in E, it was horrible. And I was just reading the Keith Richards autobiography at the time, and he reminded, it's not Keith Richards tuning. That's Delta bottleneck tuning. And when you break a string, you go to open G tuning
or E.
He said the key is to take that top string off. And I was like, man, this guitar is about to go in my closet anyway. So I reached over and grabbed it. I actually had to look up open G tuning, but when I changed the tuning on that guitar, it came alive because it's a whole different tension and everything. And all of a sudden that guitar just sounded amazing. And I always said it's like a go-kart. You just got this little go-kart. You can run around the backyard with it and just, and I've had it and kept it. I've tried to keep the original strings on it, so it's just dead.
Yeah.
And it's been used on, Blake has used it on a half a dozen tracks. Dan Huff has used it. My $100 guitar is probably made it's made me about $3,000 in master checks, like $275 at a time. Dan,
wow. Well, but again, y'all are paying attention.
Go, hey, man, send me that file. And next thing you know, I've got one of the guitar credits. So
sounds matter.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Blake. What was it? Tishomingo. Where's he from? Tishomingo, is that the name of it? Okay. He said it reminded him of growing up there. And he's still with Miranda at the time. So it's a triple whammy. He's just been through second season on The Voice, where Ray Lynn was one of the people he mentored, and they all end up on the record. I'm going to speak for you, sort of to lead as a question. There's cuts that you go, I hope the check cashes, because you just don't love them. You had to have loved this cut.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Remember first time you heard it?
I do. I remember the first time, and I like Dallas was saying, they literally kept everything from the demo. I was like, they'll take at least this part out, or they didn't take any. They did not take one thing out of.
They tried, but it just didn't sound as good because it was just it. As Bobby Pinson says, they could have made it greater, but they couldn't have made it gooder.
Well, when first time you heard it, Craig?
You know what Blake even did? Because here's how I do demos. So whenever you're building something and you take a chorus part or whatever, you're doing cut and paste. And what I do is I do it where it just inserts. So it keeps pushing old stuff on down toward the end of the song, right?
Okay.
Well, I was in a hurry that night. I'd worked on it till like 10 or 11. I was tired. So instead of like putting an official end on the song, I just kind of did this fade. But the fade got down to where we were building the bridge. So it finally got through with that, boys right here. And it was like, come on, get us back at that. And we were like, it was throwaway lines. Blake even sang those during his fade.
Yes, he
It was
did.
like,
I had never heard that.
it was like, holy crap.
We were just mumbling.
He could not have been more loyal to that little
Well, it was
crazy
like,
demo.
That's why I love Blake.
You ever seen Anchorman, where whatever's written on the
Teleprompter.
teleprompter, Ron Burgundy
reads
will
it.
say it. And so Blake is like the Ron Burgundy of
Anchorman Shelton.
Yeah.
Well, just hearing this story.
But you know, I mean, that's what I do love about Blake, and I miss that. You know, he's willing to sing with a sense of humor. He gets satire and that kind of thing. And there's so many singers, and I love them. They're great. But there's so many people that are just serious now. Everybody's serious. There's not a whole lot of tongue in cheek. Blake totally gets that and totally got that song where it's real and it's not made up. It's not cartoon, but it is so fun that he totally got. So his energy and his vocal on that was absolutely. And also, so check us out. We were doing this at the office at the time too. This is how crazy that demo was. That demo was me singing the verses, Dallas singing the choruses, and Rhett sung the bridge.
That's true. It was all
Are
three of
you
them.
kidding me?
No, that's true. That's absolutely true. Factual.
That's what we were kind of doing at the office at that time. Just like, so whatever part you're kind of the architect of, that's fine. You're singing it. So literally that song was that. I was doing the verse.
I was trying to leave and Craig was sticking the microphone going, Cat Daddy, sing that thing right there. And I'd lean in, sing it. And I was like, I got y'all. I literally have to go. I have to go. And he's like, sing that part one more time, Cat Daddy.
Well, let me speak to the jury and sum up this case. Redneck. Beatles picture on the wall. Dallas, boys around here. Chewbacca, the guitar part. You're leaving. That's the chorus melody. Is there ever been a song ever more meant to be than Boys Around Here? I love it. And I love the song.
Hey, I've got just a piece of this right here.
Okay.
That's the demo. That's
Now
Wow.
play the record.
All the way
play
to
the
the-
record.
The Tennessean will link to the record, but I love that. And look, before we get off here, I would be remiss if I don't thank you three. Craig, you are one of the most important songwriters in American history. You're a busy man. And I called you and I said, I need you on the Mechanical Licensing Collective Board of Directors. And you stepped up and you've done an unbelievable job, Craig. Dallas, the same thing. I called you and said, will you serve on a committee, because you know everybody in America, to appoint the original board and committees. And you are one of my consiglieres when it comes to advocacy. I call you, and I've learned to appreciate your opinion, and a couple of them I didn't agree with, Dallas. And you were right, and I was wrong.
Well,
I respect your common sensibilities
we'll
and how the
happens.
rest of the world thinks, but I'm serious about that. And Rhett, same thing. I, talked to you a few years ago, and I said, would you serve on the board? And I said, I know you're busy. You are probably, next to our president or leadership, the most active board member of NSAI. Yep. We have moved the ball, and you three deserve a ginormous thank you from me and American Songwriters, and I appreciate it.
We thank you as well.